Well, it's Sunday, early evening on January 14th, and well, my daughter came by and gave me a hand, and we built one more section of wall on the starboard side, and that's the last section that goes all the way to the end of the tiny house trailer, and I'll show you where we're at. Now, a couple of days ago, we did this section over the wheel well and got that up. And then I had to complete putting in all those short studs, the header, all that sort of thing. Got that finished. And then today we built this little short section that goes after that. And we got it raised and in position, made sure it was plumb, got it all braced up. I still have some more screws and nails I have to put in up near the top, but I have to rig some staging or something to get up there because I can't reach it. And then that will be complete. And the next step is we'll start, once this is all fastened and in place, we'll start making the rear wall to go up, and that'll help make this whole sidewall even more solid than it already is. So I think I'm going to call it a day because I have to get some more materials. Probably do that tomorrow morning. The scaffolding I bought, you may have seen it erected earlier. I haven't edited this video yet, so I'm not sure where everything's going to be, but this new scaffolding really, it's a game changer. It does take time to get it all set up. You know, the components are heavy, and it helps if you have an extra set of hands. I set it up all by myself, but when I took it down to make room to put up this other wall section, just my daughter helping me out just made a world of difference and made it so much easier. But there's a lot of components, a lot of pieces, and it does take a while. But once you have it up, there's nothing like it. And I tell you, it makes a big difference rather than humping up and down ladders. Well, it's Tuesday, January 16th in the afternoon. Still fighting this bug, but I think I'm on the downhill slide there, and it's almost over. It's not as bad as it was. It seems like I'm getting better. But back here at the boat shop and working on a tiny house. And well, let me show you what I've been up to. Now that all the sections have been erected on the right side or starboard side of the trailer, I'm going to put this rear wall up. I have to build it first. But just checking dimensions, real world dimensions against those that I have in CAD, I found out that my real world dimensions are about 1/8 of an inch off of my CAD dimensions, which isn't terrible considering I'm not a professional builder and how wonky this wood is. Pretzel wood from Home Cheapo. And I've been trying to get it, straight and plumb and square and all that. Did the best I could and trying to get everything to fit right. But within 1/8 of an inch, not too bad. So that means the width of this rear wall is going to be 1/8 of an inch longer than it should be in CAD. But, well, that's just the way it goes. I can live with that. I don't think anybody's ever going to notice. So the next step, we're going to lay that wall out on the floor and pre-assemble part of it. And then once it's erected and we get it braced, we'll start piecing it together just like I did these side walls where I have windows. This rear wall is a little complex because it has overlapping windows, one over the other and offset to one side. And so that makes it a little bit tricky. So it's not a whole bunch of studs going straight up. But we'll work it out. I've got a couple of ideas on how to do that and still keep everything square and plumb. Right now I'm doing a little bit of housekeeping. You see this brace right here. This brace, I'm going to move it over to this end stud, the inside of this end stud on the front wall. And the reason for that is I'm going to want to put some staging or scaffolding on this end. And then when I get this other end wall up in the back, I also want to put a section of scaffolding up here too. And then that scaffolding will help me when I'm erecting these, the last side wall in sections, which is right along here. Because each section is kind of funky because it too is kind of complicated where it has windows overlapping, they're offset, one above the other and offset, so it's kind of funky the way this all gets pieced together. And they also interrupt in between sections, so I just can't do one full section at a time. I can only do a partial section, another partial section, and then they have to be, just because of the windows crossing over between sections. It gets a little bit weird, but it'll make more sense when I get there and I show you what I'm doing. It's Wednesday afternoon, January 17th. I'm back here in the boat shop, and I cut all the basic pieces for the rear wall. Here are the basic pieces for the rear wall, and I have them laid out on the floor. They're not connected yet. They're just placed down loosely in the position where they need to be, but I have everything marked. I already have screws started because today I'm by myself. I don't have any help. I hate working off the ground because I have a bad back and it's going to kill me trying to do this without any help. Usually if my daughter or my wife's here, they can get down there and get those initial screws in, and once the screws are in place and it holds it together, we can square it, we can brace it, and then we can go back with the framing nailer, and then we can pick this wall up and put it in position. Well, it took a little bit of doing. Kind of heavy, but finally finished putting together that rear wall and got it lifted up onto the trailer and temporarily clamped into position. So here it is, and you notice it's missing studs in between. That's because there's a couple of windows that go in there, one up near the top and one further down, and they're offset, so there aren't any studs that go straight all the way through, top to bottom. And so this you're gonna have to piece this together a little bit. And I don't have this screwed into place yet. It's just clamped up. And so I think I'm gonna quit for the day, go home, get some dinner. And tomorrow when I'm a little fresher, I'll come back and I'll make sure everything is level and plumb, and start getting everything screwed into place, get it all secured permanently, and go from there. It's Thursday afternoon, the 18th of January. I got here a little while ago, and when I left off yesterday, I had got this wall built in position and temporarily just clamped it up. And I got here a little bit earlier, and I went ahead and I made sure everything was level and plumb, and I went ahead and secured it with screws and nails, and you got some bracing up to hold everything in position, so now it's pretty solid. And what I'm doing now, you see this big gap here in the wall. The reason for that is that there are two windows that go here, one over the other, a fairly large one up above, another one down below. There'll be a bit of a deck or platform in between. So it's kind of tricky because the windows are offset in addition to being over each other. So I'm going to build the framing for it. I have to start building this bunch of little short pieces so I can build in the rough opening framing for those windows. Just a couple of sticks at a time, box it in, and then working my way up. And it's all piecemeal, it's all short pieces, different ways. It's a real pain. And I know some of you will say, well, why didn't you just frame that on the floor and put it all together then and then raise it? And again, if you've been following the series, you know that I mostly work by myself. On occasion, I might get a hand from my daughter and my wife. I don't have any equipment to lift this stuff into position. It can get pretty heavy. We have to lift it over 2 feet high off the ground. If you start putting too much together, it gets too heavy and too cumbersome. Plus these are 10-foot walls. It gets pretty kind of top heavy. It's unwieldy, it's hard to maneuver. So building the frames light, getting them set up, and then filling them in with this smaller stuff is easier for me. It may not be easier for you. You got to find out whatever works best for your situation. But this works best for me, and that's why I'm doing it this way. There's a number of different ways you can frame these things. Just find one that works. But this is what I'm doing. So in this case, I have a brace coming down here, and it's flush with the outside of this wall, so I can go ahead and clamp this piece into place, and that'll help to hold it while I put up some of the other pieces. I think that'll work out okay. That seems to. So I'm just going to go from here, and I'll be back in a little while. Okay, I have these lower studs loosely in position, and when I cut the lower sill plate for the lower window, and what's critical here is the stud on the end, because there's going to be a longer one that goes alongside it, and I've got it measured out where it has to go down below on the wall, sill plate on the wall. I don't want it to scoot. I'm going to toenail it with a couple of screws. I'm going to come back later with the framing nailer and beef it up some, but right now, just to keep it in position, I've got a temporary block screwed in here to keep this from scooting on me. Line it up. I'm happy with it. And the one on the end, I've already got that screwed into this stud. So what I can do now is I can put this sill-plated position and get a screw in there. And I'll put some framing nails in later, but right now I just want to hold it in place. And I'll just get a screw on this other end, and then I can go ahead and temporarily fasten these and come back with the framing nailer. I just made up this header for the rear wall lower window, and if you've been watching the series, you've seen me make headers the exact same way as I made this one for the other windows that I've already boxed in and for the door. So I didn't film this one again. But one of the problems I've had here is that this wood that I get, it's even though I take pains to find the straightest boards, the straightest 2x4s and 2x6s I can find, the problem is you get them back to the shop, and after a time just sitting here, they start getting wonky. They start getting bends and warps and all kinds of things. So I made this header. There's a little bit of a bend in this one here, in this 2x6. So it's a little bit higher than this one in the back. And so there's about, oh, 1/8 of an inch difference. And on the back side, you got differences. And this little OSB filler is protruding in a couple of places because it's a little too wide. And here's the problem. If you put the header in like that, it's going to affect the studs that you put on it. And even though you try to be precise and have everything right, and you go through pains to get everything square and level and everything, this kind of thing, if you ignore it, it's going to throw your work off. So what I have to do is I have to take a plane, and I'm going to plane this down, and I'm going to try to get things nice and square. And it's just an extra step I have to do because this wood is really crap. But once again, I'm using a crap planer. This is the Harbor Freight junk planer that I bought just for this purpose. The problem is that I'm right-handed, and the chute, the exit chute, comes out the left side. Now, the planers I've had in the past, including my new Makita, all the wood shoots out the right, which is fine because I have my right hand and I stand on the left. But now, it's ridiculous. I don't know why they did that. But Harbor Freight, what can you do? This little bag is probably useless and might blow off. I'm going to try it. I'll put on a dust mask because I don't like doing left-handed, and I only take a few swipes. We'll see what happens. I don't even know if this thing will work. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I have a nice, flat, clean surface going across. And it didn't take a whole lot. I just got to do a little touch up there. That's better. And then I want to take a straight edge, and I want to make sure that I'm nice and flat going in this direction, because that'll throw me off too. We'll find a level. That's good. I got the crown off it. It had a bit of a crown here, and that's now off it. It's nice and flat. So now it should sit the way it's supposed to. And this will take a little bit of cleanup. It's mostly a little OSB protruding in the middle, but I'm also going to check this. I got a little bit of a hollow. Before I had a hump on the other side, a little hollow, so mainly a little off the ends, straighten it out. Won't take much. That's looking better. Slight hollow, but most of that's gone now. Slight hump on this one, but I'll fix that. Anyway, I'm almost done. You get the idea. A couple more swipes, I'll be finished with this, and then I can go ahead and install it when I'm ready. I just clamped this long piece in place, and I'm going to secure it with some screws. I just checked to make sure everything was in line and it's where it's supposed to be before I put the screws in. But you see what I mean about piecing this together. This doesn't go all the way up. It only goes so far because there's going to be another sill plate for the other window that goes up further up. And so I just have to try to, it's kind of a wonky way to do it, but I got to piece it all together little by little. Keep double checking dimensions, make sure everything's going to fit right. So then next, before I can put in the header, I have these vertical pieces that go in here. We got one that goes over here. I have to screw those in, and then the header can fit right here.